Hey everyone, Lonnie here. This week I'm going to address getting started in woodworking. I've watched quite a few videos and everyone seems to get hung up on the tools. What tools to start with, where do I start? You don't really want to get hung up on the tool issue. Woodworkers seem to also be tool collectors, and I use that term very loosely because it just sounds so much better than tool hoarders. For example, this here's a brace. And if you pay attention to a lot of videos, you'll generally see one in the back. Somebody's got it hanging on a wall usually. I've got 4 of them myself. But you'll very rarely see it used. And when you get into woodworking, a lot of times you'll buy tools or equipment that you honestly never use or very rarely use. For example, a sliding compound miter saw. This is a little 7.5-inch one. I'm glad I didn't buy a bigger one because honestly I very rarely use it. When you get started, you want to gradually work your way up. By buying one tool at a time and utilizing it, you realize the full versatility of that tool. A circular saw is very versatile. There's a number of jigs that can be made to make it more versatile. As far as one outstanding piece of equipment, the table saw, once you make a half a dozen jigs for, is super versatile. It can cut better miter cuts actually than this. This can fine-tune some of your miter cuts for a specific degree. But a lot of it just depends on what you're into. A lot of people see woodworking as just one big thing. Think of it like a car. If there's something wrong with your engine, you take it to a mechanic. If you have something wrong with your transmission, you'll take it to a transmission shop. If you had a body damage, you take it to an auto body shop. Now essentially it's all automotive, but it breaks down into different branches. And the same is true with woodworking. You've got carvers, you've got people who will dedicate their whole time to a lathe. I've seen on YouTube people who do wonderful work with a scroll saw. It all depends on what interest or what direction you want to roll with it. I've got scroll saws. I only use them about once a year when the wife wants Christmas ornaments. Bandsaw, you see it almost in every video. I use it quite a bit. I've got a radial arm saw, which as far as video use, I hardly use. A lot of times I use it for a rip cut just because it's easier. But don't get hung up on the tools. Start small, figure out just how far they can be used. If you're going to be traditional or do traditional woodworking, you know, there's nothing wrong with your different hand saws and whatnot. But if you learn how to sharpen them, you can take an average saw and make it outstanding. All it takes is watching a few videos, a little packet of files. You can do wonders with a small saw. Don't get hung up on shop size. Your shop's never going to be big enough. It don't matter who you are. I started off with just keeping tools in a closet, and it graduated to an 8x8 shed, which I thought was just outstanding at the time. Eventually it got to the point where whenever I needed to build something, I'd have to drag everything out, set up, and do what I was doing. If it rained on the weekend, I couldn't do anything. After 15 years, I've got a garage. It all just varies. It takes time. Don't worry about being perfect. There's no such thing as a perfect woodworker. Everybody makes mistakes. What makes a experienced woodworker different from an amateur woodworker is with experience they know how to hide mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. You don't see them in a lot of videos because they can be edited. It's that simple. If you want to get started, I'd recommend using pallets or old packing crates for your wood. You can go out and buy a perfect 4x8, 6x8 piece of wood, and the possibilities are endless. But a lot of times you won't do anything because you're afraid of making that mistake and wasting that money. If the wood's free, you're not as apt to worry about messing up. But when they're odd-sized pieces, they actually dictate to you what you're going to build. You're limited with the supplies you got, and your creativity is endless then. And you'd be surprised what you can come up with. That's all it takes, is you just got to sit down and decide what you're going to do. As far as equipment, if you've got a pocket knife and a stick, you can do woodworking. It's honestly that simple. So just have fun with it. Enjoy it. If it becomes like work, you won't enjoy it. I started off just simply trying to do home repairs, and then it graduated from there. You don't need a lot of background experience. There's plenty of books out there that have been around for a long time. Go to eBay, Amazon, watch videos. There's all kinds of well-known woodworkers out there, and there's a lot of good information. And if along the way, when you're discovering yourself, how your equipment works or your abilities, if you find a neat trick or whatever, post it, help somebody else out. That's all I've got. I just wanted to address that issue. I'll be back next week with another build video. I ain't sure what it is yet, but thanks for watching. I appreciate any comments, suggestions, or ideas, even criticism. Please subscribe, and thank you.